Okay, citizens' petitions and presentations.
Okay.
Yep.
Hang that there. I hope it doesn't fall. Good evening. Let me introduce myself. I'm Don Robb, co-chair of the Council on Aging. Over there is Chris Huntress, chair of the Youth Center Building Committee, and in the audience is Rosalind Wood. We have been having some conversations recently which we want to share with you and give you some information on an idea that we would like to present to the town of Andover. This is just the beginning of a whole series of things that we hope will happen.
Welcome, everybody.
Let me see if I...
Would you get the switch there, please?
Don, I'll do my best to get this started here, but it's reconfiguring itself.
Oh, it's reconfiguring itself. Okay, and I want to get out of the way, so...
If Larry sits over here, then you could actually, or sits there. Yeah.
I can work from here. This is fine. Well, let me go ahead and start.
Get started and I'll catch up.
You'll catch up with me. Okay. Basically, this is a proposal coming to this group from two organizations, the Andover Youth Center Building Committee and the Andover Council on Aging. Supporting organizations involve the Andover Youth Foundation, the Department of Youth Services, the Department of Elder Services, and the Andover Youth Council. What I think we are presenting to you today is something that a lot of people in town have really been asking for over a number of years, and that is an opportunity. What I want to share with you tonight is what that opportunity is. It's first of all an opportunity to foster community use within the new youth center, expanding youth and senior collaborations in that building. Considering that that is right next to the existing center at Punchard, we can share space, we can even institute programs that benefit both groups. Secondly, this will help to provide funding for expanded senior programs and services. This is a department that has been underfunded for a long time, and we have a suggestion for ways of expanding some of those programs and services. And finally, provide funding to help complete the final phase of the Andover Youth Center, so that rather than doing it in several delayed phases, which will cost the town a great deal more money to do so, we could complete the project at one time. So, what is our proposal? First of all, to call a special town meeting this May, within the context of the regular town meeting, to appropriate the remaining funds in the Wood Trust, which right now total about $1.29 million. That trust was set up a number of years ago. It provided for the memorial to William Wood in the Wood Park, and the remainder of that is available to be spent for a town purpose. We would propose that 50% of the funds dedicated out of that fund would be to a special stabilization fund to provide additional programming and services not presently available to Andover seniors. So half that money would be reserved for programs that would benefit the senior community. The other half, 50% of the funds, to be held in an account with Plant and Facilities to benefit the final phase of the Andover Youth Center. Since it's Plant and Facilities that will be managing that project, that money then would go to the construction of the Youth Center. Youth and Elder Services together need to work out with the town manager an outline policy for the shared space in the building with both the existing center at Punchard and the new Cormier Youth Center. I would hope that we could also involve the Department of Community Services in that discussion and see what, as a whole group, we can do with the space that is available. With a multi-purpose theater, gymnasium, cardio room, state-of-the-art kitchen, arts and crafts room, and meeting space, the new 21,000 square foot Cormier Youth Center provides opportunity for expanded youth and senior programs. And I think that's the key to this. That's an expanded opportunity for both groups. The agreement between the two groups provides that the Youth Center will be available to seniors during school hours and limited times on vacation and summer schedules. We've already had a number of discussions with Bill Fahey on this subject, and I think we can work out a really fine arrangement for both groups. The programming opportunities for seniors includes expanded arts and crafts classes, health and fitness instruction, yoga, cooking classes, and increased functional space for large group gatherings, which has been a real problem at the present center. The Council on Aging, 50% of the funds would be dedicated to a special stabilization fund to provide additional programming and services not presently available to Andover seniors. These funds would be set aside in a special stabilization fund dedicated to Andover seniors. Elder Affairs would administer the new programs using only the interest derived from the stabilization fund in any given year. This money would not be used for Elder Services' ordinary operating expenses, salaries, utilities, but rather for additional programming and services which are not included in the annual budget of Elder Affairs. The Andover Youth Center Building Committee, 50% of the funds would be held in an account with Plant and Facilities to benefit the final phase of the Andover Youth Center. The additional funds provided to the Youth Center Building Committee will be held by the Plant and Facilities Department and targeting to help complete the final phase of the building, including the new multi-purpose theater, offices, and program space. This, I think, is what we really need to focus on, the benefits of this proposal. First of all, expanded programs and services for Andover's seniors. Secondly, a community center consisting of 2 facilities on 1 campus, the existing center at Punchard and the new Cormier Youth Center. A complete and fully functional youth center, and no impact on the town's operating budget and no need for additional borrowing. Since the youth fund is already a fund that is in the town's possession and has been for a number of years, this does not require any additional expenditure by taxation or borrowing. That money is there. It will not impact an operating budget in any year, and it will not require any borrowing. Well, what are the next steps in this? Youth and Elder Services need to meet and define the scope of shared time and space within each of the buildings. We need to work with the town manager and the Board of Selectmen to call a special town meeting and also town council and prepare warrant articles. There will be a series of warrant articles which will be required to do this, and we have to work out those details. We need to present to and coordinate with the Finance Committee regarding the details of the spending and appropriations. We need to develop the mechanics of transferring the funds to the existing Wood Trust. And we hope to present this to the town meeting in May of 2013. And now, the big part, questions. I've tried to summarize here what we have in mind. Chris and I will be happy to answer questions, and other people, if we have resources here in the audience, we would certainly,
Well, first, I'd like to see
share
if there's any
this too.
questions on the board, and then
Might be time for me to say something.
Absolutely.
Let me just...
Mrs. Wood, please.
I'm Rosalind Wood. My late husband, just before he died in 2005, he wrote a letter to, I think, Buzz Sapinski, saying that he wanted the Wood money for a public purpose to go to the senior center when he thought we were building a senior center uptown. Well, that never materialized, but this seems like a wonderful compromise where some of this Wood money can go to this building and the seniors can have some use of this building. The remaining funds, if they're set up so that the Council on Aging can provide services and programs for seniors, I'm all for it. And that would be in the existing senior center, it would be in the new area that they're sharing in the community center, and also for the new center on the Y. The seniors are going to have a wonderful center over there on the Y, which I have naming rights on, so I'm all in favor of it. So, no, I really think this is something that the Wood family would want, and I'm all behind it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Wood.
Bravo. This is absolutely phenomenal.
I know.
We've got 2 incredible organizations that have been inclusive of each other's organizations through the years. And to bring them together for this common purpose is just what this town needs. This is the "and" in the middle of the sentence. It's not youth or seniors. It's both. It's bringing the entire community together for the best purpose. So this is absolutely phenomenal. Great job.
Okay, that wasn't a question, but
That was a great job.
let me just get to the board first. Any other questions? Is there other questions?
I mean,
on the board?
I'll second what Brian said. I mean, I sat here and I wrote down, I mean, I love the idea of as well as the youth sharing the space at the center at Punchard as well. I mean, I wrote down here, community campus, because that's what this is developing. It's developing a community campus. Phenomenal.
One thing I was just wondering is, has anybody thought about a name change instead of calling it Cormier Youth Center to talk about it being Cormier? If we're doing the center at Punchard, can we give it a name that doesn't say just youth, that it says community or something that's more inclusive than exclusive, if we're talking about it inclusive?
We had spoken about that, and Chris was going back to the committee to see if they'd be willing to change it to community rather than youth, but I haven't heard an answer yet.
Do we have update? Chris looks like he wants to speak.
Chris Huntress.
Running the meeting here.
We have had many conversations to that end. Let me say, this is the first step. We're still working out a lot of the details. There have been a lot of people over the past 17 years who have donated funds in the name of the youth center, including little Henry Brother, who went up and dumped his coins into the box at the last telethon. So there is some. It would be a significant decision to change the name to Community Center.
But is an effort
regardless,
going to be made to contact the people to say we've had a significant donation made and there's an interest?
absolutely, and we'll continue to have those discussions.
Can I be copied on that letter?
Certainly,
So that,
be happy to.
thank you.
Be happy to.
Wait 1 second. We all set. I just wanted to hear, you had something to say about the naming, and I'll get to you, Mary.
Well, I mean, obviously, the Andover Youth Foundation has been, long before my time, has been raising money for the youth center, as Chris said. I mean, Chris and I have had several discussions about it. And I think, this is kind of new to us also. We're thrilled at the possibility. We obviously support what's been going on. We've talked about a community campus for the past couple of years, so I'm glad to see that all the parties are coming together. The Youth Foundation Board would have to really discuss any sort of name change, because this is tremendously significant, but the majority of the funds raised over the past few years are coming from the Andover Youth Foundation. And, it's not something we would dismiss lightly. It's something that we would consider and take, some great pains to talk to the people that we
And the
need.
senior center just changed its name, so that's why I think in the spirit of developing a community space, I think it should be seriously considered. And I don't think donors get upset. They just want to be notified, this is what's happened. We have this exciting new news. This is what's happening, and I think people would want to know that.
We certainly plan to have those discussions.
Good, thank you.
There are actually, Mary, a
Before
number
it's
of
voted at town
discussions that
meeting,
have
though?
to be carried on.
Before town meeting, because I think people want to know before town meeting.
It's all new to us right now, so we're just, my board just found out this weekend about the collaboration, so we certainly need to meet and talk and work with Chris Huntress and Elder Services and whoever else we need to talk to about how we're going to approach this. But yeah, my hope would be most of these things would be settled before town meeting there.
Harry, we'll absolutely have those discussions well in advance of town meetings so that we'll know.
Alex.
I just want to thank Don, Chris, Mrs. Wood, and the rest of the Council on Aging, who as well. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that have worked on this, but echoing Brian's statements as far as working together, and I think really, we're a better community when we work together, and I think this is the first time that we've seen a really good integration of both these groups that provide fantastic services, and so I applaud the effort, and I hope we can get the details, because I'm sure the details are going to be the issues. But thank you for whatever, the work that people have put in.
We should also thank the town manager and town council for sort of working with us on the legal and financial details of how this all could happen. And as I said, we still have some of those details to work out, but and not a lot of time to do it. And of course, there's nothing else on your plate at this time of the year.
We're good.
Not much.
Clean agenda.
You had a question? I'll get to you next. Yeah. Wait, Mary first, then you. Then you. Okay, no problem. Yeah. No.
No, after. My name is Mary Carboni, Sear Circle.
Welcome, Mary.
I've been here for a lot of years during this whole event, and Mr. Major, you ran your first election on a promise to the youth of the community. But I would like to say that I remember Mr. Wood in the last town meeting we had relative to a senior center. At that time, they were going to gift $135,000, I believe it was, to the seniors. And the seniors were very excited and happy about that, because we know that the seniors are the roots of this community. The bottom line is that event was turned down because town meeting, they had the deck stacked, so that wasn't going to happen. We had to have a youth center and nothing. But right now, this all sounds wonderful and good, but I wonder is there a change agreement that we had previously, Mr. Town Manager. You know, we had, the foundation had to spend their first money, and we had that backup money. What's going to happen with that?
Well, those are the details that Town Council and I need to work out with the selectmen in terms of how the $649,000 would fit into the program. Because we do have an agreement between the selectmen and the foundation about whose money goes first. Obviously, theirs goes
Right.
first, ours goes second. So we would have to amend that to accomplish the additional 649.
So there'd be a dollar figure attached to the split. Or will there be a split?
Well, there is a split. We have, as Don mentioned, almost $1.3 million, not quite. But the split would be about $649,000 for the plant and facilities, the youth center construction account, and then $649 into this specially created senior programming stabilization account.
Okay, all right. But I just want to reiterate, the seniors in this community have been overlooked for many years, and they don't deserve to be sitting in a corner in this community. They deserve a special priority, and the youth of this community have grandparents, I'm sure, that they look up to, and this is another event for that. So with that said, hopefully we'll continue on, and you will have a copy.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, Mike.
Just
Mike?
behind.
Yeah.
Can I just talk?
Yeah, just in
You can talk, if you speak loud, the microphone will get you.
My only comment.
You have to tell us who you are and your
Mike
address.
Rowley, 2 College Circle.
Yeah,
Andover.
welcome, Mike.
My only comment on the whole thing is, number one, as far as the money goes, whose money is involved in this, however much, 2.2 plus, the town has put in $2 million. Now Mrs. Woods has dedicated half of the funds that were going to the seniors to this. So, to me, that makes it a real community effort and not a youth-only center effort. And I think that that would be a nice thing to do, to involve that into the name of the youth center.
We will certainly take it under advisement.
And as far as this other situation, I hope it's as good as it sounds. That's all I can say.
We'll make
You know,
sure.
because we need more space. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Parking.
Yes.
Bob Purpurus, Cherrywood Circle. Don, just a quick question for those of us that didn't get a chance to see the material before the meeting.
Yeah.
Is the entirety of this trust going to be applied to the facility, half for capital to finish the construction, and then the other half as an evergreen fund to support through interest the operation? I wasn't clear. It wasn't clear from the presentation whether or not the trust is going to fully fund the remaining construction.
No, the trust has a limited amount in it. It's, as Buzz has pointed out, what, 1.29 million right now. The idea is to appropriate that money in equal shares. Now, how that applies against the construction costs is still, there's still an open question on that in terms of the fact that they haven't gone out to bid yet. And until bids come in, you won't have a final, a final cost for the whole project. The idea at this point, looking at it now, is that this will probably take care of that next phase. There are, my understanding, Chris, you're the one to speak to this, is that the bidding will go out with some add alternates to it, so that there are things that can be added on to the bid depending on how much money is totally available, given what the town puts in and what the Youth Foundation.
So the hope is that half of the trust will cover the balance to do the phase 2 if it were done now. Is that correct?
It will cover a portion of phase 2. It won't cover the whole thing. It'll cover a portion of it. We've had very good news on fundraising. Probably many of you watched the telethon, and funds continue to come in. So it's our hope that this will help us get to the completion of phase 2, but by the time we go out to bid, that we'll have all the money that we need for phase 2. certainly part of it. If I understood the other half of your question, it was are the other half of the funds that are being dedicated to seniors going towards operation costs of the new building?
No, I was just trying to clarify, using my own words, my understanding for what Don said, which was that I thought I heard Don say half would go towards the capital side to do the Phase 2, and then the other half of the trust would be applied strictly for supporting senior programs, with the understanding being that it would just be the interest
That's right,
earned
that's
on
right,
that
yes.
half.
So that this fund would, that money would
evergreen.
stay in the stabilization fund, but each year there is a certain amount of interest that would become available to the town.
So that would still grow.
And that would have to, by the way, that would have to technically be voted each year by town meeting, because it's a stabilization fund, and only a town meeting vote.
Well, that
can
was really
dispense
my
from that.
follow-up question,
Yeah.
which is how do we put an electrified fence around that 649,000 so it can't be touched by other town operations?
We're wrapping our minds around that.
Yeah, I think the, if I may?
Yep.
Yeah, first of all, you know, as many of you know, stabilization fund, we have one, but the law allows us now to create them for specialized purposes. It's a 2/3 vote in, a 2/3 vote out. We would have to work with our town attorney and the Department of Revenue to make sure that we get the right terminology. We have an intent of what we want to do, and we don't want to use it for wages, utilities, normal operating expenses. It's supposed to be for, you know, extraordinary services and programs. We got to work out exactly what we mean by, what's meant by extraordinary services and programs. So it's not used 5 years, 10 years from now to supplant what we're now paying for. Now, it's on one hand. The other hand is the interest earned on the on $649,000. It's only about $9,000 a year. We're not talking about anything really more than that. Now, of course, if the interest rate changes and whatnot, we get better interest rates at the bank. That would go up. But again, it's not.
But that it still adds to the programs that can be made available to seniors in town.
And the good thing about it is that, well, obviously we don't want to invade the principle of 649, let's say, but we've got to structure the language to create the warrant article by way of town meeting. The stabilization fund, the special one has to be created by town meeting with language that hopefully will lock up the 4 squares so it can't be used down the line by some other group that think they have a worthy need for the money.
The idea is that the Council on Aging and Department of Elder Affairs would come to town meeting each year with, this is our proposal for this year, or we might skip a year or two and let some interest build up if we had a larger project in mind that required more than what we would earn in 1 year. So it would leave it open-ended so that we could use it, but always it would require any dispersal to have the approval of town meeting.
Is there,
Okay, yes, go
Buzz,
ahead.
is there any other way to do this besides the stabilization fund? Because that doesn't give you much of a return on your money, is what I'm understanding.
Well, good question. However, the short answer is there isn't. Even if someone was to give us $649,000 anew, it would go into our program, and our interest rate is very, very low. We're restricted on what we can invest in for all of our security. So, no, we're pretty much limited to that. And actually, that idea, the notion of a stabilization fund, came out of the Department of Revenue when a question was posed to them several years ago about the use of the wood money. And because this creative idea, believe it or not, came up about 10, 12 years ago, but then didn't mature to the point where it is now.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, quickly, please.
Mike Rowley, 2 College Circle. Is it possible, are these separate warrants? One warrant for the youth center getting the $649,000 and another warrant for the seniors situation? So it's possible that the youth center warrant gets approved and the senior center warrant doesn't, right?
I suppose, yeah, anything could happen, or vice versa, or they all get shot down. What we haven't figured out yet for the board is how many warrant articles we're talking about. We know we have at least 2, but there may need to be 3. I've got to work with Tom and our finance director and DOR to figure out exactly
Buzz,
how we structure this.
what they're asking for us to do is vote to open, or to have a special town meeting within the town meeting in which we can insert new warrants, which will be these 2 or 3 warrants. So we will have to vote to do that, then open the warrant for that.
To Mike's question, if I could say something there, I think, yes, I think it's technically possible. One motion could pass, the other might not. One is going to require a majority vote. One is going to require a 2/3 vote because it's a stabilization fund. But I think it's going to be presented not as this article and then this article and then this article, but rather here is a plan for the town of Andover. And I think that, I'm hoping that that is the way that people will see it on the floor of town meeting, that it is a sort of, call it a package deal, if you will, but it really is something that reaches out to all segments of the town and says, this is, putting this all together is for the benefit of the town, and that's how we would try to present it at town meeting.
If I can add on to make people feel a little more comfortable with that, we talked about this very scenario with Buzz at a meeting last Friday to try and get our arms around it. And we'd be happy, we being the Youth Center Building Committee, to have the seniors article go first. That requires a 2/3 majority. We expect that to pass, and then our article would go second, which would be, you know, it only requires a simple majority or half. This is a true partnership. We're not going to, you know, bring our article forward if the seniors article fails. We expect these two to pass together.
Appreciate that.
Yes, quickly, Barry.
Just a quick question, Mr. Robb. Speaking along those lines there, if one passes and one doesn't, what happens to the financial picture in that regard? Does that dollar figure still hold true for the one that passes?
If one of the two pass, it would be an action of town meeting, yes. But as Chris has pointed out, we will try to do the more difficult one first, the 2/3 vote first, and then maybe withdraw the other article. If we don't have for the town a program that is acceptable to everybody, we don't have a program, is the way we're looking at it.
Right, just so that one side doesn't get the money and the one that's voted against gets nothing.
Yeah.
So.
We're not seeing it as one side versus the other. We're seeing it as we want together to propose something for the community.
Fortunately, it takes 2 warrant articles because they're going in different directions, and that's just the
we're
reality
dealing
of
with
town
Massachusetts state law, and as you all know, that is never easy.
Okay, do I have any other questions?
Positives.
Well, just to shed some light on the timing of all this, to make this happen, in conversation with Larry, to have a special within the annual, we need to jump through a number of hoops. And obviously, I think we all know our annual town meeting starts on Monday, May 6th. I personally wouldn't recommend that the special be on Monday, May 6th. I'd suggest either Tuesday, the 7th, or Wednesday, the 8th. We figure it's going to be a 3-night town meeting. But we would have to have a designated time. It could start at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. You have to really the board to decide the time. And then working backwards, it has to be advertised in the newspaper the week of April 15th. And typically it's in the Townsman dated that Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, I think it's the 18th. Working back from that to get it to the newspaper, it has to be really to the newspaper by the 12th, April 12th, and that brings us to a selectmen's meeting next Monday night, where we would have the warrant articles, whether it's 2 or 3, the special town meeting warrant fully prepared for you to sign. I would suggest we open it, call the meeting, open it, put the 3 articles in, close it, and sign the warrant, and then we're off and running, doing what we need to do to get it posted and advertised and all that kind of thing.
One of the other things about dates is we are going to try with that schedule to make this possible to be in the FinCom report that goes out for the regular town meeting, so they don't have to print a second report, and so that the town has information about this as they're preparing for town meeting.
Larry, just to double check our schedule time-wise, that's going to work with you?
The 12th would be I think the date on which we're looking for to have the warrant sent to the newspaper to get it published.
You can have articles written this week.
We will be
in
writing.
time to do that?
Actually, Tom has drafted.
We'll give it the time.
Don, you better giddy up.
Tom Robles has drafted an article or articles already. We've got to have them vetted and make sure it fits, again, the 4 squares of the DOR for purposes that lock it up.
And then Joanne had said today was the deadline, right? Joanne Martin. So do they even know what's happening tonight?
Well, they were in the room for a
They
few
left at
minutes,
6:30.
and perhaps on your way out of the building, you can visit them on the 2nd floor,
Yeah, happy to.
bring them up to speed.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bill, you want to?
Thank you, Mrs. Wood.
Services. And I just wanted to thank Don Robb and Chris Hutchinson, Rosalind Woods for a lot of the hard work the last couple of weeks. And Don had mentioned it, right, that this is an opportunity. You know, this could be a win-win for the community of Andover, for the kids of Andover, for the seniors, and everybody in between. And if you look at our telethon, that we just did a couple weeks ago, if you were there, there was 400 people running around in the Collins Center. It was people of all ages. And that is always, the Youth Center's vision has always been, there's a sign on the back that says, big sign you see back there where the Youth Center's going to go. It says, you are in community every time you find a place to belong. So that has been our goal from day one. I think it's the goal of everybody here in this room, is just trying to make it so everybody finds a place they belong and feel valued and part of this community. So I want to thank you, particularly Rosie, for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.